This is the history of human weather modification. During World War II, too many British Air Force pilots were crashing while trying to land in heavy fog so thick some crews just ditched their planes in the sea and parachuted out rather than landing blind. So scientists came up with a plan to install gasoline pipelines along both sides of the runway and ignite them to create huge rows of flame, which then evaporated suspended fog droplets, allowing the Allied aircraft to locate the airfield and land safely. In 1946, techniques were developed that triggered rain and snowfall in places that wouldn't have gotten any otherwise. This became known as cloud seeding. It works by dispersing dry ice, salt, or silver iodide into clouds to alter their microphysical processes. In the early 60s, the US government began testing cloud seeding on hurricanes to learn if it was possible to weaken them. Rocket canisters of silver iodide were dropped from aircraft into the storm's eye, and gun-like devices mounted on the wings also sprayed the stuff onto the clouds. Initially, the tests seemed to work. Wind speeds were cut, and in some cases, the hurricane eye walls even fell apart. But as observational technology improved and more controls were carried out, the hypothesis was invalidated and the program was canceled. In its desperation to win the Vietnam War, the Americans turned to weather modification to make it harder for the enemy to move throughout the region by inducing heavy rainfall to muddy or destroy their dirt roads and trails. 47,000 canisters of silver iodide were dropped over North and South Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Some areas supposedly saw their monsoon period extended by up to 45 days, but just 2 days after the New York Times exposed the program, it was discontinued. Operation Popeye caused the USSR and US to negotiate a ban on the military use of offensive weather modification techniques in 1977. But the treaty didn't stop countries from using cloud seeding against themselves, as the Soviet Union did in 1986 when the Chernobyl nuclear disaster sent fallout into the sky. Civilians on the ground and the Russian pilots who carried out the mission have confirmed that aircraft flew overhead, ejecting a substance into the clouds. This resulted in heavy, black-colored radioactive rain to fall in Belarus instead of onto the Soviet capital, Moscow. Today, 37 countries are operating weather modification programs to enhance rainfall or suppress hail, or both. But nobody does it quite like the Chinese, who established the Bureau of Weather Modification in the 1980s that's now a 37,000 people strong sort of weather national guard, ready at a moment's notice to operate the more than 4,000 rocket launchers, 7,000 anti-aircraft guns, and 30 aircraft to trigger downpours in drier areas that really need the rain. The Bureau's highest profile operation was keeping Beijing's Bird's Nest Stadium dry during the opening ceremony of the 2008 Olympics. The following year, the Bureau dropped 186 doses of silver iodide into a cold front to bring drought-stricken Beijing its earliest snowfall since 1987. A Swiss company took advantage of the United Arab Emirates' desperation to bring rain to its arid lands by building 10-meter-tall electrical towers that produce negatively charged ions that, according to the company, supercharges the formation of rain clouds. But a former chairman at NOAA isn't buying it, saying, quote, "This method is inherently incapable of producing clouds out of thin air," end quote. The thing about weather modification is that it's hard to prove it works. But based on the results we've seen and the number of countries still doing it, man's effort to control precipitation isn't stopping anytime soon, even though we have little understanding of the unintended consequences. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of weather modification as much as it did mine, like it and help it spread. And as usual, thanks for watching.
All right. So, obviously the topic today is going to be weather modification. And weather modification is an extension of what we talked about last week with psychological operations. So before we get into this, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's episode. I'll be working with my dude Paul. Got him on the ones and twos over there.
What's up, y'all? We ready to cook.
And today's show is going to be interesting. So before I get started, I want to, by a show of comments of whoever's watching, how many of you feel comfortable knowing that the government is controlling your weather? Or matter of fact, before we even go that deep, how many of you know that the government controls your weather or believes that the government can control your weather? Because that's what we're going to do today. We're going to prove that the concept of weather modification is not new. Matter of fact, it's been something that's been around for the better part of almost 100 years. So, First, we're going to look at the definition of what is weather modification, right? So if you could pop this first screen up for me.
Got you.
All right, this is from Encyclopedia Britannica. This is the source. Weather modification, the deliberate or inadvertent alternation of atmospheric conditions by human activity, sufficient to modify the weather on local or regional scales. Okay? So by definition, weather modification is man-made, right? This is a man-made concept, right? Because weather has always been around. As long as the Earth been around, weather has always been around naturally. But as technology developed and human civilization became more advanced, they figured out ways on how to control the weather for political purpose, for economic purpose, to cultivate natural resources, for geographical reasons, to move people from one area of the world to the other parts of the world, right? Now, a large majority of people don't know this, but the large majority of human population lives between the 33rd and 41st degree parallels on the planet, right? So the large majority of population is between these areas on the Earth. So there's a large majority of the planet is uninhabited. Nobody lives. Even the United States, only 40 to 45% of this country is actually inhabited by people. So the whole idea of overpopulation is a myth. And we're going to prove that at some point. I'll make a show about it and show you how it's a myth. But the world is not overpopulated. As a matter of fact, there's a large majority of the world that's empty, that's uninhabited at all. So, moving on. Humans have long sought to purposely alter such atmospheric phenomena as clouds, rain, snow, hail, lightning, thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and cyclones. The modern era of scientific weather modification began in 1946 with work by Vincent J. Schaefer and Irving Langmuir at General Electric Research Laboratories in Schenectady, New York. Schaefer discovered that when dry ice, which is frozen carbon dioxide pellets, were dropped into the cloud composed of water droplets in a deep freeze box, the droplets were rapidly replaced by ice crystals, which increased in size and then fell to the bottom of the box. The Schaefer-Langmuir experiments in the laboratory and the atmosphere demonstrated that so-called supercooled clouds, namely those composed of water droplets at temperatures below freezing, could be dissipated. When the supercooled clouds were seeded with grains of dry ice, ice crystals formed and grew large enough to fall out the clouds. So the whole concept behind this is it's just basic science, right? Condensation, right? If you ever made some tea in your house and you ever, had the teapot brewing, and if you have one of those stoves that has the little overhang, you'll see water droplets forming condensation. So basically you're making rain in your house, right? You're using steam, humidity, water vapor. Well, steam is water vapor, so you're using natural concepts to create humidity in the air. Right. So it's not that far fetched to think that these people, they don't even really need machines to do this.
Mm-hmm. They could just do it with
basic science.
A
fire. They could light a fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And heat up a big thing of water and add that humidity to the air, right? So let's look at some of the techniques that they use with this, right? So basically the whole idea of how cloud seeding works is you take this, let's see if we can make this picture bigger.
Hold control and then use the middle mouse button to scroll up.
All right, so basically this is the concept behind cloud seeding, right? A minute amount of silver iodine is sprayed across a propane flame. So they could do this from a ground-based structure or they could do this from an airplane. It doesn't really matter, either or. So if you guys ever look in the sky on any particular day and you see your sky got the tic-tac-toe patterns all over the sky, this is what they're doing. They're cloud seeding. And the whole purpose of cloud seeding is to make it rain or to control the weather flow in a particular area. They might have a football game or something important that they need to capitalize for income and they need the weather to be good. You know what I'm saying? Or they need the weather to be bad. Either or. Mm-hmm. They could do it either way. They could use this to make the weather better or they could use this to make the weather worse, right?
Right.
The silver iodine particles rise into the clouds. The silver iodine causes cloud moisture to freeze and create ice crystals. Ice crystals grow big enough to fall and they come down as snow. So really, this is just a really basic concept of just like water evaporation, right? They teach us in school that rain is caused by the sun evaporating the seawater or the lake water or the river water or whatever moisture is in the air. The clouds become oversaturated with moisture and then they drop back to the ground. So using basic science, they could basically control the weather. Let's look at some more techniques. So how does this look in the sky? So right here, large this.
Right click. Go back. Right click it. Open the image in new tab. Right click.
This is ridiculous.
Right click it and then open image in new tab.
You could just show the screen like this. I don't want to do all that. Like I already got enough screens. Basically, they can see right here that this is how the sky is gonna look when they're cloud seeding. Because this is all I wanted to show them. That this is what the sky. If you look up in the sky right now, it probably looks like this. Like at some parts, wherever you at, if you look up, you'll see that they do this all day. They do it at night. They do it during the day, right? And the whole concept is to make it rain or to make the weather, to steer the weather however they want it to go. So I remember arguing with people about this years ago, right? Because people were telling me like, this is a conspiracy theory. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is something that's been around since the 1940s. This is pre-internet, right? Pre-YouTube, right? They were already doing this. So the whole idea why they were doing this was for a war. Remember I was telling you a couple episodes ago, right? That a lot of the things that they tried to implement into the civilian world is things that they created for war. GPS was created for war. The radar was created for war. Most of the things that we use in civilian life were created in times of war.
The candy bar.
Yeah, and then they adapted it into a civilian form, adaptation of it. But for the most part, you know, they've been doing this for a really long time. You know, in Vietnam, by creating these monsoon seasons before their time, they were trying to keep the Viet Cong from using the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So they thought by flooding this, right, it would help them win the war. You know, they did this in World War II, right? At the beginning, the video is telling you how they had fog issues, right? So they were lighting up what was it? The oil. And the oil, the humidity from the oil was pushing the fog away. So, I mean, it has a purpose. It has positive purpose that they could use it for, but it also has a lot of negative purpose. A lot of us that, you know, from the Caribbean and shit, we deal with hurricanes all the time, right? So it's no coincidence that the last few years we've had the biggest hurricanes ever in the history of hurricanes. And the reason why is because they can control how powerful they make these hurricanes. All they have to do is add water vapor. That's it. All they have to do is add water vapor. So, all right, let me clean this out real quick. So this next little short clip that I'm going to show you is how they use nanotechnology, right? So this was in 1996. It's 2020 now. They already were using nanotechnology in 1996. So again, this was almost 20, 30 years ago that they were doing this, and they're way more advanced now, right? So I'm going to play this short clip. It's about 3 minutes long, and you guys are going to get an idea of how they use nanotechnology for weather modification.
Some barely visible. But this is Stone Age compared to today's technology. The most amazing of these new weather modification devices are so small, you might not even see one, even if it was floating in your eye. Ranging from the ultra-tiny to the nearly invisible, these are the revolutionary micro-machines that will be the workhorses of any world weather control system. They're MEMS, microelectric mechanical sensors. And there's more. Every day, 2,000 weather balloons are launched globally. They predict and potentially control our weather. But what if we could launch 10,000 or 10 million balloons? That's exactly the theory behind GEMS.
GEMS are global environmental MEMS sensors, a concept that we have come up with that deals with a massive wireless network of airborne probes.
The idea is to release 10,000 or more of these dust-sized probes every day from aeroplanes, stratospheric platforms, or satellites. Like weather balloons, the probes would monitor weather information over every kilometer of the Earth's surface at a resolution that is today unheard of.
We envisioned that the GEMS probe itself would have a bio-inspired design, something like a maple seed or a dandelion seed that actually incorporates the constructs of nature to achieve aerodynamics and buoyancy.
With an ongoing stream of millions of measurements, the accuracy of our picture of the atmosphere could improve 1,000 times over.
There's every reason to be optimistic that simply having more measurements of the atmosphere will lead to improved forecasts.
It's also possible that the GEMS themselves could be made to play an active role in cloud dynamics, in effect, cloud seeding with 1 million microscopic computers. But if GEMS are heavier than air, what will happen when these millions of probes finally fall to Earth?
When the GEMS probes land on the surface, either in the water or on the land, they would continue potentially to provide surface observations.
But would they be harmful if accidentally inhaled?
At the sizes we're talking about, if you actually inhaled one or got one in your mouth or one in your eye, it would probably be no different than, say, a speck of dust or a particular particle in the atmosphere that you would get in. You'd probably sneeze it out or cough it up.
Nanotechnology will become indispensable to weather observation and prediction. But where cutting-edge science goes, the military is never.
All right. So there you have it, folks. They was using nanotechnology 30, 40 years ago. So we late to the party. You know, all the people that was arguing with me like 10, 15 years ago, talking about that none of this exists, right? They already had nanotechnology in 1996. 1996, I was 14 years old, right? Before I was even talking about this, they already had nanotechnology, okay? So the whole idea of conspiracy, that's dead now, because we already blew that out the water that this is not a conspiracy theory. This is actually a fact, right? An irrefutable fact that can be proven. So I'm going to pose a question to the viewers right now. Are you comfortable knowing that your government is manipulating your weather? Are you comfortable knowing this, right? Because a lot of us, right, if you live in Cleveland, we have all the seasons in one day. Everybody that lives here know that you're liable to go outside in Cleveland on any given day and you'll have every season, right? But now you start to look at it in a different perspective, right? Because now you start to realize, okay, what's really going on here, right? Hurricanes, tornadoes. I mean, earthquake is not classified as weather, but it is a natural disaster. All of this can be controlled by man. So that gives man an incredible amount of power, right? This gives man an incredible amount of power, right? Because now they have the same power that the idea or the concept of God has, right? Because these natural disasters, if you classify them on your insurance, they're called acts of God, right? And now man has the power that God has, right? Man has the power to send a hurricane wherever they want it to go, right? You think it's a coincidence that some of these hurricanes, they get real close to the country and then all of a sudden they turn away, right? Like, you think nature works like that? You think nature just be like, I'm gonna get to a category 5 and then all of a sudden I'm just gonna turn away and go away. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's because these governments invested millions and billions of dollars trying to understand this. They use this as a form of economic terrorism, right? So let's say hypothetically, I want to take over a little island like Puerto Rico, right? Let's just hypothetically, I want to take over a little island like Puerto Rico and I want to buy property there, right? How can I reduce the value of the property in Puerto Rico? I got an idea. Let me build a super hurricane and send it to ravage the little island. I know the people of the island don't have homeowner insurance, right? I know many of the people on the island don't have the capital to rebuild. So what is this going to cause? This is going to cause a mass exodus of society from that particular region, right? So now I can come in with my hedge fund groups and my investor groups and buy whole areas right? Whole areas of Puerto Rico, whole beaches, rainforests for pennies on the dollar, right? This is how they do economic terrorism. They could do it with droughts, right? If I want to shut down, right, a particular state, right? Let's say hypothetically, like California, right? California is not playing by the rules. They're not doing what I want them to do. You know, let's dry up the rain supply. So now this state is in a drought, a state that we rely on for a large majority of our fruit supplies, right? In our lettuce and things like that. Now there's a drought, right? So now this puts a stranglehold on the agricultural sector of our economy, right? So we could use this in every facet of society. They could use weather to control us. And the fact is that most people don't even know that this is a possibility, and this is why they do it, right? This is a form of psychological operation. When you're sitting in your house 3-4 days because it's been raining 3 or 4 days, right? It affects your psyche because now you're depressed. You're like, damn, I wish the sun was out, right? You ever do a winter in Cleveland? It's like doing a bid in prison because you literally won't see the sun for almost 6 to 7 months. Maybe you might see the sun one day, 2 days out the week, but it's very like shrouded and foggy, right? This puts people in a state of depression, in a negative mindset because they're like, man, I'm tired of this. This is what forces people to move down south, right? So we're gonna look at some more. We're gonna look at another video here. I want you to actually see the process of them making it rain.
Yo,
So-
the chat's going off the hook right now. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to talk here at the end. Matter of fact, I might do like the last 20 minutes. I'm gonna open the chat up so they can get it in. No, because I want the viewers to cook too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show y'all this video. I'll go in for like another 5-10 minutes, and then I'm gonna open the chat up, and y'all can share what y'all want, y'all experience, what y'all know. So let me show this video real quick,
I'm ready.
and you guys will get to see the actual process of the cloud being made.
Look, they're making rain right now. Look at that.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you! It's raining! That's unbelievable! Oh. NASA's playing God! It's making its own weather!
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's actually raining.
So yeah, so you heard them at the end. NASA's playing God, right? I mean, and this is what these companies do. You know what I'm saying? They take a large. NASA gets about $50 billion a year in taxpayer money, right? To show you computer generated images of space, right? To show you computer generated images of Earth. To make artificial clouds, right? This is what they're doing with taxpayer money, finessing you, right? And I've been telling you for a long time that this is how our reality operates on this idea of finessing people that are ignorant, right? If you're ignorant in this world, 9 times out of 10 you're probably gonna get finessed. You're gonna get finessed by your government. You're probably gonna get finessed by your employer. You're probably gonna get finessed by your friends. You're probably getting finessed by your significant other because you don't have your head in the game. So what we're trying to do with these podcasts, I'm trying to get your head in the game so you can understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So,
Amos, I got your links open and ready for the end of the show.
yeah, so send the Discord link and put it up in the chat so anybody that want to speak up, so we could get you on the show. I want to bring up another slide real quick, so just let me find it real quick. And then we can get to cooking. All right, so this particular website here, you can put my screen up here because I want to show them this website. This particular website is dedicated to everything there is about weather modification, right? This is they go through the process of weather modification, the history behind it. They have a list of all the technology that was patented over the years. You could basically go here and get a history of everything that has to do with weather modification. If you see here, they kind of give you the idea of the different methods that they use. So like a lot of you that are familiar with the HART program, right? The HART program deals with the ionosphere, and the ionosphere is this area up here. And what they do with that is they heat up the ionosphere to create like a heated ozone. And this heated ozone affects the weather, right? Because now, when you're changing the temperature of something, is going to affect the physical dynamics of it. They use these water vapor towers. These look like chemical towers. You might see them at a power plant. They letting out water vapor. These water vapors are creating clouds. So like if you ever go out to like Put-in Bay, or if you ever go out to like Geneva or like up there in like Ashtabula, you see these things. Now they're not doing it intentionally, right? These particular places are power plant companies.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a nuclear power plant.
But they're letting out water vapor, and this water vapor is still creating climate.
That's correct.
So again, this fits in the definition of intentionally or inadvertently, right? This is an inadvertent aspect of weather modification. So inadvertent means that these factories are letting out this water vapor, right? And they're inadvertently changing the atmosphere in their local regions that they're in. They could use a boat. Right? A lot of the things that they do for the hurricanes, they use a boat, right? And they have a boat. The same way you see that cloud machine, they do that with a boat. They do it with an airplane.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways that they do this. So this is a good site. So I'm going to put the link for this site in the chat. So you guys, if you want to learn about weather modification on your own, instead of what I'm telling you, you can research it for yourself. Because I'm never going to tell you to believe me. That's one thing I will never tell you to do. Because I'm a huge supporter of free will and free choice, right? But at the end of the day, you can't be mad, right, when you find out that all this is true and somebody told you this years ago and you choose to ignore it. The only person you could be mad at is yourself. Because I've been telling you this for years. I've been talking about weather modification for years. So now that we have proof of it, right, video footage of it, right, we have peer-reviewed scientific scientists confirming that this is a reality. Now what do, right? What can we do? Because now we're dealing in a situation where our weather is being controlled by people that is a lot more powerful than us. So, this should be an eye-opener as to the nature of our reality. So if they can change the weather, what else can they change, right? Probably your food, right? Your food is going through the same process. The same way they control the weather, they're controlling your food. That's why the large majority of the food that's out now is cloned food, right? Or GMO food, where it's processed in a laboratory, right? Ask a farmer, when you get a chance to talk to a farmer, ask them if they're allowed to grow their own corn seeds or their soybean seeds. They're not allowed to anymore. They have to get seeds. They have to get agriculture that's sanctioned by Monsanto, or they get a fine, right? Like I was telling you guys last week about the food that we buy, right? We get this food and we buy it's prepackaged to give us the idea that it's coming from a healthy environment, and a lot of this food is being processed in a factory that's like below health sanitary standards, right? But we don't know this, right? We just want to eat our chicken breast. We want to eat our little fancy steak, right? And we don't care. We don't care where our food's coming from. But then we want to cry when we got cancer. We want to cry when we got diabetes. We want to cry when our body's falling apart for eating this bullshit all our life. We want to cry about it. When somebody's out there telling you, yo, bro, maybe you should check your food supply, right? The dude just showed you in the video that when these nano pellets fall out the sky, right, you inhale them and ingest them into your body. He just said it.
Don't
right?
even know it.
Scientifically confirmed that when these pellets come out the sky, you inhale it and it goes into your lungs. But we got half the country running around, right, from a disease, and they don't even know where it came from. So how do we know that what we inhaling out the sky is not causing people to catch COVID-19, right? How do we know this for a fact? We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. We just taking the expert's word for everything, and that's the problem, man. Again, we learned this in kindergarten on the first day, right? Follow directions the first time they are given. Not if the directions are correct, not if the directions are morally sound, right? I'm pretty sure if somebody told you, stick a finger in your ass, you're not going to follow that direction the first time it's given, right? You're not going to follow that direction. But this is, as adults, we find ourselves doing this over and over and over and over and over again. And then we had the audacity to act like we're informed and we're educated and we woke. I don't even use the term woke. You know what I'm saying? Because it's past tense. The term woke is past tense. That means
Going back to sleep.
you went back to sleep. Woke is past tense. That means you woke up and went back to sleep. I was woke. No, I'm awake. I'm in the present tense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm awake. Y'all got to understand, man, like this is not a game for me. I don't get up, you know what I'm saying, and invest an hour of my time doing a podcast to lie to you. You know, I'm not in the business of lying. I've never been a liar, bro. Like, you know, anybody that knows me, I don't lie. Either I got it or I don't. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between with me. So right now in the chat, I want whoever want to get in the chat, let me know, hit on the link, and we could do a little open discussion for like the last 10, 15 minutes if y'all want to talk about certain subjects, and we could bring up the information right here. If there's anybody out there that disagrees with anything that I'm saying, come into the chat and you know, provide an intellectual rebuttal, because I like debating. I actually enjoy debating more than I enjoy teaching.
I have Mr. Della Casa.
That's my guy. That's my guy. Is he in?
I got him. He's here. Let me see if I can get him
Let's
in the
get him on
general.
the mic.
Anything else you want to talk while I'm getting that together?
Basically, you know, this is just an extension. This episode is an extension of what I talked about last week with psychological operations, right? This is a big deal because our weather is something that, you know, this is what we base a large majority of our life around. Where if we're going to go on a vacation, right, we look at the weather, right? If we're going to go do something with our family on the weekend, we look at the weather, right? People that have a farm, they need to grow their crops at certain times of the year. They look at the weather. So everything revolves around this natural process that growing up we thought was a natural process. And for a long time, it was a natural process until human beings advanced in technology. And the more that humans advance in technology, the more and more they're going to take on the role of God. And they're going to remove nature from the process. You understand? So this is what this is all about. Did you
I sent Mr. Della Casa a link to the voice chat.
all right. The in there? And you know what's even more crazy about this is that they can use this same technology to cause earthquakes. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole thing with these people is control. And they don't care about morality, right? When we were talking about morality, I was trying to explain to you guys that these people work in a philosophy of moral relativity where they don't really care about how you feel about certain things. Their job is, the bottom line is to protect their assets and their businesses. You know, and their business is creating chaos. That's their business. You spend money trying to protect yourself from this chaos, right? When you turn on your television news at night and you see rioters protesting and burning things down, subconsciously you're programmed to go buy you a gun and protect your assets, right? Yeah, Tesla did make an earthquake machine. I'm actually going to bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm actually going to bring that up right now, the Tesla earthquake. Thank you for bringing that up because I'm actually going to bring that up right now. So let me cue this real quick. Over here. This video. You could play this. You could go on my screen real quick so I can play this.
Yeah.
For the sound.
I didn't turn the sound down here.
Got sound?
I didn't turn the sound down at all. It should have sound. Is it not muted?
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Why is that?
Hold on for the technical difficulty. We're having a sound issue, so I don't even know if you guys can hear it.
Yeah. No. Twice a week.
Oh, okay. Pretty cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
we're
do.
fixing the issue right now.
Yep. Okay. Let's see.
Bro, I can't hear it.
Line in is on monitor on. Right? Can you try that video again?
Sorry. Nope. Can't hear none. All right, so we have a technical difficulty, so I'm gonna talk for a minute
That's
until we
the
figure
setup.
this out. Yeah, so basically, you know, they could use this same technology for earthquakes too. Volcanoes, any type of natural disaster or natural occurrence, man can do it now. And this is everything that's wrong with the world right now.
Sounds so quiet.
Man has a little bit too much power, and they don't have the moral foundation to control this power and use this power in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we find ourselves in really messed up situations. You seen at the first video that I showed you, China invests 70,000 different type of machine guns. They use machine guns to shoot bullets in the air to create, like, that's insane to me, right? That's insane. But this is what they're willing to do to control the weather, right? This is the things that they're willing to do to control populations, to control humanity, right? And this is the same situations that we find ourselves in. So what's going on with the volume over here?
Trying. I don't know. It was work. We were just utilizing it, so I don't
Yeah, I know
understand
what's
how
going
it
on.
would just stop working.
Maybe
From
they
one
mu-
to another,
Maybe they muted it because they didn't want that information.
right?
Hey, baby.
I don't know what's going on with this. That just like totally ruined my whole presentation. Now I don't got no sound.
All right. Can you try now?
I don't hear it. I don't hear anything. All right. Well, it is what it is. What it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't got time to sit here and worry about this shit. Though. So
It's
I'm
like,
gonna move
hold
on.
up, you cooking too hard. Let's
I'm gonna
interrupt
move
that
on
shit.
because I don't want to get aggravated.
All right.
You could go off the main screen. So yeah, basically, that's my fault. I should have got a video that actually worked. So I wasn't able to show that video.
Send
but
me-
what I'll do is I'll share
send
it
me-
later on my
Send
own.
it to me. Send it to me.
I'll just share it on my screen later, and then the people could go on my page and they can actually see the video for themselves. But you know, a lot of the times we live in a fantasy world. A lot of us live in a fantasy world, and you know, we need to get out of this fantasy world.
So she doesn't look like an ass to everybody, please.
So
'Cause she's gonna
I think we got
ass.
somebody in the chat.
Oh yeah,
Hold
we
on.
do. Let me get her up.
Who we got in the chat?
Freestyle Kids is.
What's
back.
up, free? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on? Did you want to say something?
No, I was just saying, like, if we had that talk last night about the whole weather control. I was wondering, so can you say whether or not global warming is a real thing, like the Republicans sit here and say it's not?
Okay, so the thing with global warming is they're hiding the concept about global warming is like a red herring, right? It's like a straw man. It's like if you focus on global warming, you won't focus on weather modification, right? So if there is global warming happening, it's being done by man. You know, the world has its natural heating and cooling cycle, right? But the
Right.
problem is that man has the ability to control that now. We have the ability to control how hot certain areas of the planet become and how cold they become. So it's kind of a situation where, like, yeah, it's true, but it's true because it's man that's doing it. It's not a natural occurrence.
So the
Because we
Democrats,
wouldn't be here. If global warming was a natural occurrence, humans would have been eliminated off the face of this earth. What we're doing is we're adding to the process by doing it artificially.
Yeah. Chat just said we're speeding it up.
Yeah.
so
You know what
isn't
I'm
it crazy?
But it's man that's doing all of this. You know what I'm saying? Because we want to be God. That's our problem. Man wants to be God. The whole idea behind this finesse is the apotheosis of man. And apotheosis means to elevate something into the position of a god or a deity, right? And there's a philosophical idea behind this, and we're going to get into that later on down the road. But right now, we're trying to look at, you know, the base level things. Before we get into the philosophy of why they're doing it, we're looking at the things that they're doing. And basically, the whole idea behind them is they want to be God. You know, they want to be able to clone human beings. They want to be able to live forever, right? They want to be able to control every aspect of society, right? They have to ensure that the elites stay in power, and they're willing to do whatever they have to do.
You just described Hillary Clinton, bro.
I mean, Hillary Clinton is like, when we really think about it, Hillary Clinton is like in the mid-level of the totem pole, right? So like Republicans and Democrats, they're all pieces of shit.
Right.
There's not one politician, right, that's in our government right now that's working for the American people. Not Trump, not any of the Democrats, not any of the Republicans. The whole reason why they're in the position that they're in is because they were willing to do the foul shit that they're able to been doing in government for all these years. That's why they've been in government for all these years. None of them are working for the people. Our Congress, 66% of our Congress is in the top 1% economically, right? So that means that 2/3 of Congress represents the 1%. None of us are in the 1%. So that means that we don't even have proper representation in Congress, right? The people that are representing us, theoretically, are not even from our same economic demographic. So the deals and the legislation that they pass in Congress is to benefit the 1%. It's not to benefit us people at the bottom of the totem pole, you know?
Right. And see, I brought that up because I remember you posted a status. We're going to reflect back on that a couple of days ago where you brought up morals and politics and how the political parties take those morals and they run with it. And I feel like it's crazy because right now, one of the biggest parts of their campaigns is weather related. And they're running those campaigns off of it being weather related, knowing that most of the American people don't even have this knowledge that they're controlling the weather. I didn't even know this until you brought it up.
Yeah, and the thing about the weather is, like, most people look at weather as something that happens natural. That's why they don't really understand, like, how can somebody control this, right? Because weather always been around. You got to understand they're taking something that's natural and they're adding to it, right? So it's not like they're creating things out of the thin air. They're just using basic science and physics, right? So let's say, for instance, a hurricane forms in the Atlantic Ocean and it's a Category 1 or a tropical storm. They pump in water vapor into this storm to make it stronger. So now it goes from a Category 1 to a Category 4. And then from there, they just let nature take its course. You know, nature's already taken over and made the storm Category 4, Category 5. Now they could just steer it, right? If they want a hurricane to go a certain direction, they dry the air. This is how they control hurricanes. So what they do is they'll dry the air out. If they want a hurricane to weaken and get weaker, they'll dry the air. And if they want it to get stronger, they add water vapor. And that's just basic science. It don't require any magic. It don't require anything like, you know, just, you seen the machine that they use a cloud machine and it just blows water vapor out.
Yes.
I do have this video if you wanted to play it now.
Yeah, so let me play this short video real quick and then I'll leave the chat open for you guys so you guys can do your thing. So let me see if we can get this video to finally play.
No, I got it right here.
Okay, so go ahead and play it on your screen then.
Hey, I'm Brent. You're watching Steam Culture. Welcome or welcome back to our longtime viewers. Hey, this is Nikola Tesla. Now, many of you
that hairdo
know
right
the
there,
name
though.
because it's the marketing inspiration, I guess, behind the Tesla electric
I gotta go back
car.
to Facebook to watch that video.
It's because Tesla was a famous inventor, electrical
I got you.
engineer,
Oh, you got me? Okay.
engineer, but he's known for so much more than the namesake for the car. Invented many things. In fact, if you kind of think you know Tesla, you may have seen this picture. This is the famous Tesla coil. In fact, it was also featured in the Disney movie, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, if you've seen it with that cool scene where there's electrical current bouncing all over the place. Well, like I said, Tesla was an inventor. In fact, one of his things you need to know about is he is the father of alternating current electrical power, or AC as it's known, which is in all of our houses. You know, electrical motors, these electrical motors that you see in here are powered by alternating current. And I guess from that standpoint, because before that they used direct current, which is DC. So if you look at it that way, Tesla put the AC in AC-DC. Made that up for you this morning. Let me tell you something that Tesla made that involves steam, though, which is why we're talking about it today. This is the earthquake machine, or it's a reciprocating oscillator, but it's powered by steam. At about 400 psi, Tesla could create electricity from this, so he claimed. So it's got a piston in the
not
middle,
much.
and it's steam would come in and act on one side of the piston, and then steam would come in and act on the other side of the piston before it exhausted the steam, and it would move up and down super fast, turn some armature that would generate electricity. Now, Tesla claims that he almost took down a building in the Flatiron district of New York City testing this thing, that buildings were shaking, you know, for a city block. An ambulance has shown up. I don't think that was ever proven, but that was what Tesla claimed. Now, the interesting thing about Nikola Tesla is that a lot of his inventions didn't actually get to market, but they formed the foundation for technologies that we use today. Obviously, the induction motor for AC power is based on his design, and we still use it today. Wireless communication, he was working on back in the early 1900s. That platform got us to where we are today. And wireless power transmission. So when you take that phone and you put it on that charger wirelessly to charge your phone, that all started back in the early 1900s with Nikola Tesla, who took time to work with steam and make the earthquake machine. So you can go Google that. And if you want to just kill some time seeing some cool stuff, go Google Nikola Tesla inventions. There's no end to them. And watch the source.
When the video finishes.
That's pretty cool. So thanks for joining us this week on Steam Culture. Every Friday we'll have something here that's great for you. I said go Google something. I always say this. Go Google us first. It's your #1 priority because we got content for you each and every week. I will work on something for you.
All right. So that video right there was just a short film about the machine that Tesla created. So why was Tesla so big on electromagnetism? This is the reason why electromagnetism is so big. So a lot of people don't know this, but your heart lets out electromagnetic frequencies, right? This little area around your body is about 6 feet, right? This is the whole idea behind social distancing, 6 feet. So your toroidal fields don't interact with each other, right? So when you die, like if you was to ever have a heart attack, they're going to use electric current to bring you back to life. They're not going to use any, or maybe adrenaline, but they're going to use a defibrillator to bring you back to life because your heart runs off electromagnetic current. And the toroidal fields prove that, right? So when you're in the same room with somebody, right, whether you like them or not, you're going to feel this electromagnetic current. You're going to call it vibe. That's what you call a vibe, right? So when you get around somebody and their electromagnetic current is in balance, you'll probably feel a good vibe from them. If their electromagnetic frequency is out of balance, you're probably going to feel a bad vibe from them. And this is how it works. And the reason why this works like this is because the planet works like this. Now, whatever you believe of the planet, there is electromagnetic frequency around it. So, ironically enough, this is one of those years where the toroidal energy that is around the planet is going to be at its very weakest, right? So it's no coincidence that 2020 is the year where we have all these crazy things happening, right? Because the toroidal field around the planet right now is at its lowest point, and it'll culminate in December. So in December of this year, the toroidal field will be at its lowest point, right? And the people at the top, at the very top of the pyramid, they understand all of this. They know all this information, right? Toroidal field comes from the word tor, and tor is the root word of tauro, the bull, right? So this is where all this comes from. Taurus, right? Taurus, like the zodiac sign, is spelled different, but it's the same concept. These toroidal fields are just one aspect of our reality around us, right? This is the aspect of reality that we can't see, but this is the stuff they're not going to teach you in school, right? This is what the whole concept behind sacred geometry and understanding physics is, to understand these concepts. I'll do a separate show on this on its own because a lot of this stuff is really detailed, and you really have to get down and really break it down. But this is what creates our reality. So when you get into spirituality and you're trying to tap into this energy, this is the energy that you're really tapping into. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to leave the chat open for the next few minutes. Y'all can ask questions and y'all can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. So the chat is yours. Let me know what y'all want to do.
Let's see. So I got a question right here at the bottom was, do you think Egyptians had wireless power? I think they did. Or to a battery or something.
I don't know if they did. I mean, we can look together and see. Let's look and see what we find about the Egyptians and wireless power.
And while you're looking at that, Amos sent a couple links in the chat that I do think is valuable to look at. They have Agent Orange, Public Health. This is from the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. And we also have top 5 cloud generating machines, but which you touched upon already.
Okay, so before we get into that, let me share this information regarding ancient Egyptian wireless power use. So this particular article says Nikola Tesla confirms ancient Egyptian used wireless power. So we're going to see. I'm going to read this real quick. You have certainly heard countless theories about pyramids. You heard it's a tomb of Pharaoh, or extraordinarily civilization built it, or it was made for a higher purpose as traveling to space or as a gate to paradise. Indeed, there are many such theories. But the last theory I have heard is absolutely incredible. And I have to say that it's really logical, and I myself lean to this theory at 100%. And what is it about? The truly unbelievable thing which we do not have till now, transmission of wireless power. So the whole idea is that the pyramids were like
Power plants.
wireless antennas for like cell phones, things like that. So what I want to do is here, let me get this link, right? Where's this link at? How do I share this link?
There's a bar at the top. Who you want to send it to?
Copy, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to paste it in the chat. Now I got to find the
throw
chat.
it to Discord, and then I'll put it in the chat for you.
Where's, so I just put the article in there because I don't have a lot of time left. So what I'm going to do, I want to give y'all the floor to ask more questions, but I put the link in there, and then y'all can read about that on your own. And then next show, y'all can share the information that y'all come across with me. You know, we could teach each other, because I don't have all the answers. You know, especially for things like, you know, when it comes to energy and things like that. You know, that a lot of that information, they hide it from us. They don't want us to know about free energy. Right? Any more questions in there?
Let's. All right, I just put it in the link for you.
No.
You got any more questions, Freestyle?
No, I'm good, bro. I'm just watching.
Let me see. Somebody else asked something. What was the links that Amos had sent?
I got Agent Orange.
Yeah, let's go to Agent Orange. Let's go over that real quick. So Agent Orange was a tactical herbicide used by the U.S. military for control of vegetation. It was named for the orange band around the storage barrel. The military sprayed Agent Orange and other tactical herbicides during the Vietnam War. Veterans who may have been exposed to Agent Orange include veterans who were in Vietnam, the Korean demilitarized zone, or the Thai Air Force and other locations who flew or worked on the C-123 aircraft. VA offers eligible veterans a free Agent Orange registry for possible long-term health problems and related to exposure. And this speaks about diseases. So this is from a veterans website, right? And this particular disease, these diseases that these veterans are suffering from the Vietnam era was directly related to this agent, this pesticide that they were using to defoliate the areas. So the Viet Cong were really good at using the jungle for camouflage, right? And the United States had a problem with that because they were taking a lot of losses on the battlefield. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to remove all the foliages and the bushes and everything from the battlefield and create wide open landscapes, would make it easier to use the aircraft to bomb the Viet Cong. It worked to some degree, but then the Viet Cong started building tunnels on the ground. So then eventually that didn't work anymore, right? They were dropping this Agent Orange and they were dropping it on their own troops, right? And then this next video is about, what was the next one?
More cloud machines.
Yeah. Yeah, so what we do, we'll skip through this one. Try to skip through to the actual cloud machines. So they can see that one right there. You could go on that one.
Cloud machine was invented.
So now you can see the different methods that they're using with these cloud machines. This one's on a truck. It don't require nothing major, a regular truck, right? Takes very minimum. Nobody will know that they're even doing that. And they're just sitting there making clouds.
This gas
One
blows
truck
away radioactive
can make all that.
and destroys
That's what one truck can
infectious
do.
agents. A creative solution to a potential
Let's fast forward it to the
chemical
next
attack.
one. This is called the Taurus
AI
molecular
is
cloud.
trying
Ain't
new
that
things to curb
irony?
rainfall
Taurus
across their
molecular
dry
cloud.
desert nation. They
I'm just getting started and I need to save money.
Yeah,
Inkwell
just wait
give
for
me
the
the
ad,
best
you can
service
just-
for the best price.
As a freelancer,
came up with an idea to modify the outtake.
So
of
for
a
those that
plane
ever went to
engine
the Middle
to
East, you
liquidate
know,
from the clouds.
Dubai, they have
This is called
they do this
cloud
all the time
seeding.
in Dubai.
An interesting idea.
So
However, there's
Dubai
no
is a
evidence
whole
to
city
suggest
that's
that cloud
manufactured
seeding
on
program actually really works.
recycled garbage
They do create
and
small clouds,
plastics
but not
and
ones large enough to contain
weather
much water. But
weather
maybe This
modification.
technology will develop over time.
It's amazing how much information is out there that we don't even know about, and it's right at our fingertips.
Yeah, and people don't want this information because they have a certain belief of the way the world is, right? And then if you was to show them this information, you know, it kind of puts people depressed when they find out that there's so much finessing going on. They kind of get depressed, so they don't want to know all this shit. This is why they say ignorance is bliss. With me, I want to know. You know what I'm saying? I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly,
NASA tests a
because that's how I
solar
operate.
booster, which they plan to use
You know
for
what I'm saying?
future deep space
That's
exploration.
like a
The chemicals involved
rocket
in
or
the
something.
burn
Look,
create a
NASA.
dark
This is
cloud
something NASA's
large
doing.
enough to
This is
get
what
picked
NASA
up
does.
on
This
the
is what they
weather
do. They're
radar.
supposed to be worrying about space, and they over here making rain clouds with your taxpayer money. They're supposed to be investigating space. They over here making clouds with your hard-earned taxpayer money.
Well, the only logical outcome I could think that why they would be working on making clouds would be for atmospheric generators to inhabit other planets. And that's a whole nother science fiction. But science fiction becomes a reality, believe it or not, but that's a whole nother story.
Yep. Look at this one. They're just making clouds left and right. And it's like, you know what's crazy is that they've been doing this since 1946 and we're in 2020, right? So just imagine all the things that they did in history that we don't know about. If they're willing to control the weather, think about what else they're willing to control. History itself, right? I'm at the point where I don't even know if the large majority of our history even happened. Right? I consider myself a history revisionist. And the whole thing with me is I go back in history to see if events really happened the way they said they happened, which is a really tough task because there's really no way you could prove it. All you can do is look at the information that you're given and draw a conclusion.
Cross-reference information.
Minutes, and when
This is the one that
finished, a
you had the
massive
video
cloud
on.
loomed over the facility. One of the largest
Yeah, this is the one.
man-made clouds
This is
ever
the one
created.
that the guy made the video of. So you can see they got all different type of cloud machines. It's not just one. One cloud machine can make it rain for like 3 states. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of these machines can control the weather for like 3-4 states.
Sure.
And you can actually see this on the radar. So when you look on the radar, you would see like, let me see if I can bring this up real quick before I log off.
I'm asking you to make a donation.
You can actually see this on the radar when they're doing this, when they're feeding the.
If you do, it will be triple matched.
All right, so right here.
Yeah, it's showing, for the rest of the video, it's showing the big one. Hey, good looking, Amos. That's some information, though.
I'm trying to find this image. They actually feed these storms to make them. I want to show you how it looks on the. Let me see if I can show this video real quick. You can push to my screen real quick. Let me see if I can show you this video with the Hurricane Harvey. You guys remember? All right, so real quick, you on my screen?
Yes.
This is dry air. Over here, this area over here is dry air, right? Right. So what they do is they want the hurricane to stay over the populated area. Hurricane Harvey was one of those storms that stood over Houston for like 5 days. It didn't move anywhere. And the reason why it didn't move is because they sucked the humidity out of the air just to the west of it to keep it located in that area. Because if they would have moisturized this air just to the left of it, the hurricane would have grabbed more strength and it would have just went its natural route. But what they do is they control where it goes. So that if it wind up raining, let's see what they say in the video. the volume over.
I don't know why it's doing that. If you want to send that link to me in the Discord, I'll pop it up over here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send it to you as a link though, because I'm about to get ready to wrap it up here. So I'm gonna send it to you as a link, and then you guys can check out the video for yourself, right?
Hey, I don't know why the audio was working for it, and then it stopped.
It's a conspiracy, man. Trying to silence me. Nah, but yeah, this is what it's all about with these people, man. They just like playing games. That's all. They like playing.
I do have some more information from Amos speaking about the side effects of Agent Orange.
Yeah, all of that. That is
You can pull that up.
Yeah, you can bring that up. I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up. So you could go to the top. The lingering health effects of Agent Orange. Veterans are still suffering from the illness caused by toxic herbicide used during the Vietnam War. They want to know why the VA doesn't offer more help. You can scroll down a little bit just so they can see the images of the helicopter spraying it. So this was the technique that they use, right? They just spraying the Agent Orange out the back of the helicopters. And what an herbicide does is it kills plants specifically, right? So any tree, leaf, grass in that area where that agent is dropped is going to completely disappear, and basically it's going to look like a desert, right? So now this puts us in our head, right? Our deserts, right, that we see just popping up randomly around the world are those man-made creations, right? Death Valley is 110 feet below sea level, and it's classified as the hottest place on the world. But when we look at maps of California, right, old maps of California, let's bring this up. Put it on my screen. When we look at old maps of California, right, we see California as an island. California is not part of the mainland America. This area right here, where I got to highlight, is Death Valley, California, that is 110 feet below sea level. So how do we know they didn't dry this out by building dams, right, and create a desert right here? Because this is a desert now. This is Baja Peninsula, actually. But what they did was, they had this too far down. So this is actually supposed to be a little bit further down here. But this is how they had California mapped out in the early times. And then you see like around 1600, 1700, they start having a new map of California, how we look at it now. But this is the Baja Peninsula, right? Well, it's supposed to be the Baja Peninsula. But they have it mapped here as the entire state of California, right? And then there was an African princess that lived here. There's a story about an African princess that lived here named Khalifa. And she was a black Hawaiian queen that lived on this island. But we'll get it. That's a separate story. We'll talk about that on another time. But it just goes to show you that a lot of our history, we don't have no idea about anything. And we really need to go back and we really need to look at our history and re-examine a lot of things. With that being said, I ran over my time a little bit today because this was a really fun topic to do. I want to thank y'all for coming out, for supporting the show like y'all do every episode. I got another show coming for y'all Thursday. We're gonna get back into the mind a little bit, and we're gonna look at the household, right? We're gonna start talking about the household and how these psychological operations come into our household, and how we kind of take these psychological operations and we do them to people in our life. And, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a characteristic that we took on from our government. So we got to start working out. We're going to learn how to keep it real again. We're going to learn how to be honest again and keep it 100. So with that being said, thank you for coming out, and peace out.